Like cooking, everything has a recipe.
A set of instructions to follow in order to gain a certain result.
Music is no different.
Be it ingredients for a dish, a set list for an amazing show,
Or a release strategy for a successful launch.
these are all recipes.
Hi, we're your hosts, Sean.
And I'm Brandon.
Come and join us in our kitchen as we go through the Music Makers Cookbook.
Let's get cooking.
Welcome to the Music Makers Podcast. Every time I do the welcome, it's super sharp and
It's
like
really
almost
sharp.
clips the microphone.
Yeah, but I mean,
So-
that gets everybody awake.
Yeah, I could be like, welcome to the Music Makers Podcast. I'll do the opposite of it. You know,
That's
start
it.
slow.
That sounded like a game show.
like the Family Feud or whatever.
Yeah,
Or, like, man,
Or The Price is Right.
Price is Right.
Love The Price is Right.
Anyways, the Music Makers Podcast, the podcast where we help independent artists cook up recipes for success in the music industry. I'm Sean.
I'm Brandon.
And we kind of just interjected this in the middle of a conversation we were having. We were talking about songs and music that, like, because we were in the industry, we're listening to music all the time. And
All the time.
you can get kind of tired of a song
Yeah.
if it's overplayed. I don't really have any songs that I still dislike because they overplayed, but for a while, Bruno Mars's Uptown Funk.
Oh, yeah.
It's a bop.
Yeah.
It's a great song. I did sound at a bar called Uptown Bar and Grill.
Okay.
Every band played Uptown Funk. Not a single one played Uptown Girl. I was pissed. They all
Really?
played- yeah, not a single one. They all played Uptown Funk, sometimes multiple times in the night.
Wow.
The record was 4 in one night. They sang it 4 times.
Yeah.
And they were all covers, and they were all bad covers. So for a while, I'm like, I have no emotion towards the song. I block myself out because I don't want to listen to this anymore.
Yeah.
I
think that makes sense.
I don't care about it.
Yeah.
But you were talking about like because you did a booth. And
Yeah, because 2014, 2015, I was working for the now defunct radio station 80 on X in Metro Detroit in Canada. They went under 2018, so I was only there for a couple. I was there for a year because like we were already just kind of starting to get rumblings of that.
Mhm.
But anyways, and we'd set up. I was part of the promotion team, and we'd go to these different venues. We'd go to Freedom Hill. We'd go to the Fillmore, wherever, and we'd always play music with our booth set up, right? And we'd just play the station. And right around that time was like 2014. There was like a big like indie like rock pop vibe going on. Like I couldn't. It's so hard for me to name anything off the top of my head, like artist wise.
like Imagine Dragons esque, like right when, at the start of
kind
that,
of,
like early Imagine Dragons
yeah,
esque, before they went more pop.
Totally, yeah,
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. And then it was kind of like Hosier was also like pretty big at that time, and it would just play on repeat, like all this stuff, and like eventually it started blending together for me, and I was like, this sounds exactly the same, and I really burnt myself out on that style of music. So when I hear something like that these days, I'm like, I can't listen to it. I just can't. So that was like my kind of experience with it, but it's also sometimes like has to hit me at the right time, but it's also a little nostalgic too, because I'm like, oh, this is like 2014, like I was a young little kid,
Doing
like,
this in my life.
exactly, yeah. So, but
I don't have that
that's
kind of
why.
visceral reaction with any sort of music. Only like
Really?
one song do I have a visceral
Yeah.
reaction where it's like I can't
Yeah.
listen to this. And it's I don't know who the artist is, but it's like my neck, my back, my pussy, my crack.
yeah, I know.
I hate that song. That's the only song where I have a visceral reaction to. They played it at the bar all the time before and between sets, and it's like this isn't a song. There's no progression. It's the same thing for way too long. It's like 6 minutes or I don't know how long it actually is, but it feels like it's 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I'd rather listen to Freebird.
I love Freebird.
It's actually a killer
dude.
song.
Okay, so my buddy Eric and I, you've met Eric.
I've met Eric. Yeah.
Shout out to Eric. He's down in Nashville. We were just talking 2 days ago, like literally 2 days ago, about Freebird. He was like, you know what? He's like, I like that song. I was like, I do too. Like, it's actually like a good song. Like, I like about a month ago, I was talking to my dad, and I was just listening to it on the radio. I was like, you know what? This song is actually really good. I'm like, it gets a lot of hate, but like, or a lot of love, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
Usually, it's just clowning it, but it's a great track, though.
It's a great song. It gets a lot of hate or disdain, or it's got a bad reputation in the live scene. Because we talked about that in the first episode of this series, where we talked about things not to say at a concert. One of them being any request, because someone will always say Freebird.
Yep.
But we're kind of continuing that whole series today.
Yes, we are.
So
Yes, we
like
are.
3 of the series.
This is episode 3 in the series.
Yeah. And we're gonna be and we're gonna be talking about kind of show promotion. No, it's gonna be episode 4.
Yeah, because I think
Episode 4.
the first you're right.
So we did things not to say.
Exactly.
Then this other episode was EPKs.
Yes, and then
the last one that we just posted is about. Check it out. It's episode 13.
It's really good. Maybe check it out and let us know what it's about in the comments. It's really good though.
I remember having a very fun time at that conversation.
Actually, it was a good show.
I enjoyed it.
I did too. I just can't remember what it was off the top of my head.
I'm gonna look this up now. All right. Well, I'm looking this up. You start off this shit that we're gonna forget next week.
So today is continuing our live concert series where we are going over a bunch of different
rehearsals.
Stuff. Yes, rehearsals. Well, I mean, we obviously didn't rehearse this, so
no. Yeah, we do it live. We're like
we're very whim.
Yeah,
on a whim.
So don't run your shows like we run this podcast.
Yeah, please don't. Be better than us,
unless you're a comedy show.
That too. Because
still, then don't do how we do it. So we're
funny. Typically, yeah. Or if you're improv comedy, or whatever. Like I said, today we're continuing a live concert series where we go over everything you should do to prepare for a live concert and then what you should kind of go through on the back end of things and during a show too. And today we're continuing with show promotion leading up to the show and after the show.
Oh yeah, because the promotion doesn't end.
It does not end.
It never ends.
That's right. The show isn't the objective. Right? It's like you don't stop there.
Yeah, it's just a piece of the whole pie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're going to go over today. So shall we get into it, Sean?
I thought we were already in it, to be honest. So let's continue being
Let's continue.
Yeah, our guests officially jump in. All right. So I guess a good place to start as any is just kind of the knowledge of kind of what a good promo for a show is. Just making a social media post on your band page or your Instagram or Threads or X or whoever you put stuff out. I have to specify Threads and X because we fucked up with social media.
It's like you're going back to try to redeem us.
But just making social media posts and putting out that's not promotion in and of itself. It can be a part of your larger strategy to promote a show or an event or whatever. And there's other steps that need to be taken or can be taken to be more effective at it. If you're just starting off, you might need to, and you don't really have a strong following, you might need to spend a little bit of money to promote a post if that is what you want to put it out there. Like if you got a show poster or other things you have created to grab someone's attention, you might have to spend a little bit of ad revenue to put it in front of people in the area or whatnot that might go to your show or invested. The algorithms are crazy out there if you do go that route. It takes a long time to learn. To be effective at paid advertising. So don't jump in right away.
Right. You can throw a lot of money at the wall and not get anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. It costs a lot just to learn where to start.
Yep.
So one of the best ways to kind of get into it is to have a solid strategy and to come together with all the other artists on the ticket if you're not just performing alone to kind of build something that you can promote to at once. And if you're just starting off and you don't have a strong social media following, it's even more important to try to mix them together with these bands because they might, and if they do, and you're playing a show with them, odds are there could be a good potential fan of your style of music and what you're doing. So that's who you want to speak to anyway. So building something together where you tag them, they tag you, and build that whole promotional front to charge into the people.
Exactly. Like the whole
fan base.
The whole hierarchy of a show doesn't exist just in a vacuum, right? Like there's a headliner for a reason, and that's to draw the main crowd out. So then it's like, okay, well then you have to kind of try to convert these fans of the headliner over to you too, because that's ultimately why you're playing there. Sure, you're opening up for them, but you're also there to also capture those fans as well. So the hierarchy exists outside of the show. Yeah.
But at a lot of times, especially when you're on the local scene, you're just beginning, there really is no headliner.
Right. It's usually just like it's pretty horizontal.
These are the people playing. Maybe they're a little above or a little below.
Yeah. And sometimes even the people that are above aren't even the ones that are the people that are above aren't even the ones headlining in the first place at a local show. Sometimes
they don't even want to be the last one because they know that their fans want to come, or if they know what their fans, what time they show up, what if their schedules are, they might want to play earlier so they know their fans can just come, have a good time, and then bounce.
Absolutely.
Depending on what day of the week it is and all that stuff. So they might not even want to headline.
Yep.
And I said, like, especially when you're doing the local scene, it's more of a flat foot.
Yep.
And which makes it more powerful and you have more leverage when trying to promote things with other artists because there isn't that huge gap. You're not approaching somebody major and saying like, hey, do something with me.
Exactly.
So we can make the show good. They're like, I don't need you.
Right.
I'm not spending time on this.
Yep.
And most artists probably aren't going to say things like that.
Yeah.
But the promoter might.
Yep.
Because he's like, you're not paying me. You're not on the ticket. I'm paid to focus on this band. I'm not going to mess with you.
Exactly.
It's with you in the venue. Speaking of, Anything else you want to add to that?
No, I think that I think you summed it up pretty well. I think are we gonna go continue into social media later, or do you want to?
We can circle back to that.
Okay, cool. We'll circle back to that in a little bit then.
Because the main part of me saying is that just making a post is not promotion.
Right.
There's a lot of things that go into it. We're creatives. We can be creative with it. Do things that help stand out.
Yep.
But another thing that promotion is, or more specifically, is not, is it's not the venue's job.
Right.
Some venues do. Like if their thing is a destination and the main focus isn't the music, it's to have other people in there.
Right.
Then yeah, they'll promote it a little bit. Like especially if you're playing in a bar or something where the music venue is the secondary aspect of it. It's like, yeah, we got a stage. We have music consistently so people come and stay late and drink.
Yep.
But we're not a music venue where they come for the music. A lot of these venues rely on either a promoter or rely on the musicians to promote the show. And while it can be beneficial for them to promote it might be best for them to promote it, and some of them do.
Yep.
You always want to be accountable for what you're doing as well.
Absolutely.
Because even if they do promote the show as a venue, which is rare, but even if they do, if you do it as well and bring extra people to it, that's more favorable on your end.
Exactly.
Just never count on the venue packing the seats because that's not their job, technically.
Exactly.
So that's another thing that promotion is not. You're going to have to take active engagement in making the show a success. So that's kind of the foundation that we're setting today of don't fall in the trap of I made a post, I'm good. People see it. Yeah, I got 50. I got 150 thumbs up.
Yep.
So we got 150 people coming to the show.
Like, yeah,
that ain't happening.
That never translates.
No. And then also don't be like, okay, I'm playing at this really cool venue in Ann Arbor, and they have 300 people they can fit in there. So it's gonna be a 300-person show. I'm so excited for it. You gotta fill those seats yourself.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And especially if you have to sell tickets yourself, that is really important because sometimes you do.
Yeah. We'll get into that in a later episode about good deals, bad deals, and all that.
Yeah.
Some promoters are just sleazy as.
Sometimes you have to pay to play, and those aren't always fun. So
no.
Yeah, very rarely should you do that, in my opinion. But maybe it might be beneficial to you at some points. But like we said, we'll talk about that at another episode.
And if you go back to the last episode of a rehearsal for a show,
yes,
I'm remembering what it is now. We do talk about. Or no, this is rehearsal for a show.
Yep.
We talk about the scale of what a good gig is. And if there's 3 different criteria, and if you get at least 15 out of 30 points, then it's a good gig to take.
Yep.
So go back and listen to that episode to say, even if it is a shitty promoter or whatnot, could this be a positive show for you overall? So definitely check that out if you have not already.
Absolutely. So yeah, kind of getting into it. So like, how do you promote a show and what should you do leading up to it, right? Like, I guess we'll start with leading up to the show because it just makes sense in the whole and caboodle of things. I had nothing else to say there, so I said that. So I want to start with like what people usually don't do, and usually people don't post engaging enough content for the show. Sure, you might post like, "Hey, come out to the show," whatever, or "I'm playing here then at this time," and then it's like, okay, then what else do you have there? Yeah. There's nothing else on top of that. There's really no substance to the thing except that you're just saying, "I'm just playing a show." People like, good for you. Yeah. And then they scroll.
Yeah. Or they'll just make a Facebook event.
Exactly.
And link it in and just post like every week or whatever.
Yep, exactly. And that's not enough. That is not enough. You're not going to convert anybody to go to your show like that. People
it could grab the attention of people who are already planning on going.
Right. Which at that point it's like, okay, you're just reaffirming that, yep, the show's coming.
But you can use that to your advantage, because if you do have an event where you can send it to the people who are already coming, you can try to incentivize them or use them to get other people involved.
True.
Mobilize your fan base.
Yes.
Yeah, like the Swifties.
Oh my God, dude, they're insane, man. Like in a good way, and in an insane way.
What was the joke like that? They got the egg prices back down or something?
Did they?
I think that was like the joke.
It's crazy because like I would not put it past them.
Well, there's something about like the music industry, and Taylor Swift was like, made a tweet or put out a call to action to her fans to like do something. I forget what it was, but it worked.
Wow.
There was like some sort of legislation that passed or whatever that was pro artist, where it was more so not. And I don't remember the details, but it passed. It worked.
That's
so there
crazy.
was at the Grammys or whatever, one of the comedians made the joke of like, hey, he walked up to Taylor and said, hey, congratulations on what this big milestone you did, getting your fans to achieve this.
Yeah.
You should get your fans to do something about the egg prices. And
is that why he made the joke?
That's why he made the joke. And then she looks at the camera and she's like, get on it. And the prices went down.
Wow. That's insane, dude. That is insane.
That's the power of mobilizing people.
I was always wondering why he said that joke.
Yeah, that's why I said it.
I was like, wow. Okay, wow, dude. That's insane. But yeah, so I mean, that's why you want to get your fans to mobilize for you, because you can do that. Just say, get on it. And then all of a sudden, you're making things happen. But until we get to that point, which I hope you do, that is the goal of you. I mean, possibly, maybe it's not your goal.
Depends on what your goals are.
Exactly. So, but you want to make an engaging enough content to at least get your fans to interact with your post and at least consider putting it on their calendar, because it's hard to convert somebody that is already doing something that day or is not doing anything and even put it on their calendar and make them come out, drive out there, spend their money, spend their time. And it's really hard to get people to do that. So the more excited you are about it, the more excited your fans are about it, and the more thought and care that you put into these posts and your promotion usually will help translate a little bit better.
Well, and specifically, so not just make something engaging or exciting for people to see and get what's the word?
Intrigue?
Intrigue's a good one, but it was like get introduced to the show so they know it's happening. You know, it's good to have it be engaging and whatnot. But more so than that, there's a term in business called the call to action.
Yeah.
And it is a quick phrase or a link or statement at the end of whatever it is, be promotional or post or whatever, of what you want them to do next. Because a lot of times, if people don't have a direction, it's hard to know what the next step is.
Yes.
Especially with how busy all of our lives are and whatnot. It's like, oh, that's cool. That's really engaging. Looks like a cool show.
Yep.
Keep scrolling.
Yep. And it's not always immediately obvious to what you should do.
Yeah. So if you do make a good post, you are always going to want to tell them what you want them to do next. Make a post saying, hey, buy tickets here. Here's the link.
Yep.
Join the event. So I know you're coming. Pick up, we're going to talk about this later, but some other ideas you can get people engaged in is pick which cover song you want us to play during our set. Help decide our set. Sign up to watch our rehearsal. There's always a next step to get them more engaged and more entrenched and more invested into coming to the show and to the event as a whole.
Exactly.
And you need to say it in every single post.
Yes, you do.
Not just, hey, here's show coming up, show coming up, show coming up, show coming up. Hey, here's tickets. Here's a link to buying tickets. Yep. Every single post needs to have what you want them to do next.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because the experience really starts when you announce the show, right?
Yeah.
That is the first point of, I guess, sale, but like it's like the first experience that the audience gets from your show. So how you start promoting it from day one, from the minute you post, matters up until how you end the promotion after the show, not during the show, after the show. So like Sean was saying, you have to have those call to actions, which is a really great point, because like I said, it's not always immediately obvious what the audience members should do, right?
Because let's say you do have a good fan base, a following on social media, and you're like, man, I keep getting like 500 people liking my posts consistently up until the show, but only like 20 people show up. It could be because you're not including a way to let them take the next step.
Exactly.
So like, some people might want to dive in deeper, but don't necessarily know how, or like, oh, you got a show coming up. Okay, well, what's the venue? Maybe they don't know, or like, and they life happens. They get busy. They're not going to do the research on themselves.
Yep.
So there's things you can do to turn that engagement. If you are getting engagement, but not following through, you can lead them to follow through more consistently.
Yep. Great point.
You have to remind them to do it.
And not only that, but the way that you also lead them to matters too, because the more friction you have leading them to your call to action, the more likely they won't take that call to action. Like, for example, let's say you have a post on Instagram, right? And you say, click the link in my bio. Takes you to, well, first of all, now you have to click on the profile. Step number one. Step number two, you have to go to their likely link tree and then find the link to the show. So that's step two. Then you have to, like I said, step three is finding the link on their link tree. So you're already at 3 steps. By this time, they might already be thinking, well, I have to buy this. I have this expense coming up. I have to do this the next day. Well, now that I've had some time to think about it, I don't want to do it anymore. Yeah. So sometimes those spur of the moment whims will actually play in your benefit, and how you get people there quicker will likely lead to higher conversion. But you might be thinking like, that's really difficult to do on Instagram or anything like that. Well, if you buy ads, you can typically link somebody directly to wherever you want them to go in the ad. So you just have to count on those ads reaching those people, and that's building out demographics and stuff like that. And that's really going into it. But that is a way to do it on Instagram more specifically. It's a little bit easier on Facebook, but Facebook might nerf your post a little bit and then maybe make it harder to see. So sharing is a really big thing that you have to do here too, whether it's on your own personal account or you have the rest of the bandmates post on their personal accounts, and you try to have their girlfriends post or boyfriends post or whatever the case may be, right? And you have to really spread it yourselves, because Facebook will see that external link and be like, no, we don't want you coming off the platform. So those are two really two quick examples of making it a little bit, frictionless and making sure people get there quicker.
So I'm going to circle back a little bit real quick. You talked about someone having time before they make the choice, and they could be like, I got upcoming expense, I got something else I might want to do that day or whatnot. It gives them time to talk themselves out of it. And a lot of artists who are maybe not confident enough in themselves to be like, well, I don't want to kind of get people to join something that maybe they shouldn't, like maybe they should like wait for that expense, or, oh, well, this other thing's going on. And that's where it kind of becomes, that's where imposter syndrome comes in a little bit, and the confidence in what you're doing can play a factor.
Very much so.
If you are confident in your show and the environment and the fact that, hey, people who enjoy this are going to come together, have a great experience, and leave in a better position than when they came here. And that's, like, you feel it in your soul and you have that guarantee. It's a lot easier to get rid of that thing of that voice in the head of, maybe I shouldn't try to get people to buy tickets. Maybe it shouldn't push it so hard. If you're confident in your show, you're confident in your music, and you have an experience that will bring people together and uplift them and leave them with a positive experience, then, it's almost better for you to try to get them to want to come, because if it's for them, then, as I said, like, they will leave better than they come.
Absolutely.
So it can be kind of easy to get into your own head of, maybe I don't want to promote that hard. Maybe I don't want to put this out or spread it too easily. Or push too hard to get people to come. But that's where it kind of comes into, okay, well, then think more about, you might have to reflect more on yourself and how confident you are in the show. And there might be some other issues necessary than just, you got to promote. So keep that in mind.
Such a good point. Such a good point. Because like you said, confidence plays a really big role, and your relationship with money will also change that too. So like, it spills over from a personal aspect too. So, and like Sean said, if you need to refine your experience to make you feel more confident in your stuff, then that's something you have to take a deeper look at, because if you're not confident in the experience you're providing, then there is an issue of value there. So definitely take a look at that. But that also leads us to our next point too, is that people often undersell the show to the audience. Like, oh yeah, I'll have some friends out there, I'll have some family out there. Like yeah, that's great. But like, don't undersell it. Like this is not your time to be super humble. Like, this is your time to be out there, be like flexing, and just selling. This is not the time to be like, yeah, a few people would be there. It'd be cool if you could come out, right?
It's a cool bar.
Like,
all that some stuff.
That's so lukewarm.
Some other bands. Yeah, they're pretty cool. Yeah, you should check it out. It's gonna be a fun night.
Doesn't make me want to go.
Nah, if you're following along with this whole series of how to make an awesome show, and do live, then you are probably going to have something together that makes the experience for you unique. Or the event has something unique about it, which we're going to talk to later on. That's one of my notes. And if there's a selling point, something that you do different or keeps them engaged, and you're proud of it and it gets people engaged, that's what you need to confidently state.
Absolutely.
They've been like, yeah, it'll be fun enough. It's like, no, the show is great. There's a lot of fan engagement. In fact, I've actually got this link you can click on that allows you to help build a set list of going up to the show of all these different songs and whatnot, so you can be engaged in it. Or, oh yeah, there's this really cool other bands performing. They performed here and here and here. Killer song. I really recommend you check them out. If you like this band and this band, you're gonna love them. So make sure you're at that show. There's other things like that. Or, oh, it's a really historic venue. There's really cool things around.
Exactly.
You're gonna have to check out this place. They make a killer martini. These things that there are always positives about what you do, and whatever makes it unique is the thing that you you sell.
Yeah, so you have to lean into that 100%. And
Yeah.
like a couple more things, I guess, adding on top of that is like, oh, we're playing our new single that we just released at this show. This is the first time it's ever been played out in front of live audience. Number 2, we're announcing new merch, or we have new merch designs at our table that you can only get at the table right now. Like maybe you can go sell it later online, but for right now, it's exclusive to the show. It's a good way to draw people out if they want to get a new piece of merch from you. Another one is like a like a specific show theme, right? It might be Hawaiian night. It might be business casual night. It might be Christmas. It might be Thanksgiving. It might be anything, anything that pertains to a holiday. And people want to go there and maybe celebrate that occasion with you. You just so happen to be playing a show that day, and the bar is putting on this, or the venue is putting on this. And then lean into that. Make people want to come out, be a part of that unique experience,
Well, fuck it. I said we'd talk about it later, but I guess we'll jump into it now. Or you can make your own event. In fact, when you're just starting off, especially in the local scene, it's a lot easier to get people engaged when you're like, yeah, I've got a show on the 17th. You should come out. It's a lot easier and engaging to say like, oh yeah, there's this event going on. It's called, instead of saying, yeah, it's just these 4 bands at the Blind Pig, for example, that's a local venue in Ann Arbor. Instead of saying, yeah, it's this band, this band, this band, this band at this venue, you can say, oh yeah, it's this event at this venue. It's like just a random example. And you can do things that make it more interesting to people who are coming. And make gimmicks or things going on. And it's also easier to pitch it to a venue if you've got like an event that you can promote and makes it more engaging for the venue. But just a random example, you can say like, yeah, it's casino night with all these bands. We're gonna have when you come into the door, we have a deck of cards that you can put like your band stickers or logo on the back of it, and we're gonna pass out these cards. And between every set or between every band, we're going to pull random cards from the deck, and from there we're going to find who the person who has that card, and if like for between the first 2 sets we'll buy them a beer, and the next 2 sets we'll give them a hat, or like these things you can do to kind of engage with the audience and make it more of an event. And if you get all the other bands on board, then they can put their stickers on some of the cards, or they can give away some of their merch, or there's a lot of things you can do to make it more enticing. And it's a lot easier to say like, oh yeah, it's going to be a rockin' casino night at the Blind Pig, instead of saying, oh yeah, it's this band, this band, this band, this band at the Blind Pig on this date. You should show up there.
On a Thursday, right?
Yeah.
It's like okay, well, and
make it something.
Exactly.
And there's
Have fun
tons
with
of ideas. Be creative with it. Depending whatever genre you're in.
Absolutely.
Like for me, it's I do a lot of folk rock, and for example, you could do like, oh yeah, it's a nostalgia night. So we're gonna have Polaroids you can rent, and you can just take pictures on Polaroids of the event. And then we're going to have, maybe you can talk to the bar beforehand and see if, hey, can you make this kind of special kind of drink that we're going to help promote for whatnot. Or, we're going to like dress up, depending on what your era is, or what kind of people your fans are, your fan demographic is, that's the term. You could even say like, yeah, everyone dress up as a hippie, and then we're gonna like have a contest in between the first and the second band, where we kind of go throughout the crowd and we pick the person who's got the best outfit, and invite them up on stage to kind of jam with us for a song or whatever. Things like that, and it gets people interested, engaged, and especially afterwards when the show's over and you've got all these pictures and promo and these people engaged, and you can have them sign things. It makes it more exciting, and it can give other people FOMO, which is the fear of missing out. And you can not weaponize it, but kind of use it to your, you can weaponize it so that someone who maybe decided not to come and they see how cool it was, are like, oh man, I like that idea. I got to go to the next one.
I can't believe I missed that.
I'm going to go to the next one. So makes it easier to promote. You can be creative with it. Makes it easier to get a venue and other bands on board. And it's easier to promote afterwards because there's a unifying construct.
Absolutely.
That brings it all together.
Absolutely. But how do you get there? How do you tell people that this is happening, right?
You shout it from the rooftops.
You shout it from the rooftops.
Shout it from the mountains.
Just go on your tallest building in your city and just yell.
Hi.
You know what? You could probably
come to the show.
You could probably go viral doing that. So, I mean, give it a try if it's not illegal where you're at. So,
I play guitar. Come here.
You might also turn a lot of people off that way too. So you got to be careful. But one of the ways that you can do it is not only through social media, but we've talked about this before, and you should have one at least being started, or you should have at least thought about this, but utilize your email marketing to stay top of mind, because guess what? This is your platform and you control how you want it distributed, which is awesome. And guess what? There is less friction from getting to an email to the site that you buy tickets from too, which is great. So you have to utilize email marketing, and whether that's doing like 2 a week, that's doing 3 a week of the show, or whatever. You don't want to be too spammy, but you do want to make sure you remain top of mind. So that person on the fence is pushed over the fence in a good way. Of course, you don't want anyone getting hurt, but you want to make sure that they go and actually are like, yep, I remember this. I'm going to do that this week because I have the time, I have the money, and I want to go be a part of this experience. So utilize email marketing, please. Please, it's so important. It's so important. The next thing that I think you should do to help this along is update all of your socials with the show. So on Facebook, you can do like tour dates. I'm pretty sure you can still, or event dates or something like that. Yeah. They've changed it over the years, so I never remember, but you can do that on there, and people can go there and actually see specific dates that you're playing your show. And then also you can do that on Spotify as well. I think.
Yeah, you can have tour dates on Spotify.
Yep, exactly. And if people are listening to you on Spotify, like if that's your main platform that people find you on, like you're gonna definitely want to keep those up to date, because if people are listening, it's really easy to swipe over, see tour dates, like, oh, this song is awesome, I'm gonna go see this live, go buy tickets, boom, done. You're good. And I think Spotify also curates it to wherever your location is. They show you the nearest show.
I believe so.
I think that's right. So. Yeah. So that also plays into a really big part of it too. So Spotify is actually giving you a little bit of a helping hand, and like they actually like take you off the platform, I'm pretty sure, to buy tickets, because it goes to Event Kick.
That's not something I've dove in.
I haven't either
too much yet. I know they take you off platform. So I've followed it. I've gone through the process. I've followed it before, or at least to it's Spotify. Maybe they own the other platform,
right?
Too,
that
whatnot.
Could be at this point.
But yeah, they'll take you someplace where you can follow through on the ticket. So you might have to go and join this specific ticket platforms in order to sell it in the first place. The venue you're playing at might not even work with that ticket selling platform. True. Especially if it's more of a local one in a scene. But at a certain point, keep these things in mind. There's tons of different ways to get it in front of people and to take them. Give them the call of action, take them to the next step of purchasing a ticket beforehand.
Absolutely. And one of the last ways to kind of get, at least one of the last ways I've thought of to help promote your show is to get like publications like blogs and newspapers, like local newspapers most likely, to write about you or the show. If they write about you, they're more likely to mention the show. It's unlikely that they will write about the show unless it's like a festival, like you just did Milford Memories out here in Michigan. I'm sure there was a newspaper publication about that somewhere at the local news, right? Or it even could have been on the local news station.
Oh, it was, yeah. They come down, they interview the event holders. Exactly. They'll like have clips of the bands. They'll have drones that take shots of it. They'll post things afterwards. Talk about 5,200 people came to the tent, and it was like the biggest year or whatever. There's always stuff that they talk about.
Exactly, and that's a great way to promote.
Yeah, and if you're on stage, you're probably going to want some things that help identify you as a band when you're on stage. Because if you're playing events like this and they take pictures of, the band on stage and whatnot, if you got nothing to help identify you, people are just going to see it and be like, yeah, it's a band. But if you got like maybe a custom drum head or a poster or some sort of gimmick on stage that helps identify it, if that's posted in any sort of blog or newspaper article or news station or whatever. Now you're promoted on there as well. For free.
Exactly. And then that's another way you can promote. Be like, hey, I was written up in this article. I was written up in this blog. And that's just another cool piece of content you get to use at your disposal and put in your EPK for later. Remember EPKs? Go listen to that episode. That was 2 episodes ago, I believe. Now, it was, right? So definitely go check that out. So that's about all I have personally for means of promotion.
I've got a lot more.
Yeah, please let it rip.
I'm gonna go wild on this.
Let it rip.
So email marketing is very, very effective, like we said. Use it. It's a tool that you can put into your tool belt that is a high turnover because it's directly to the people who are engaging with. On the flip side, though, a lot of people get a lot of emails.
It's true.
And while it's a direct connection, it can sometimes get buried. What has a higher open rate than email is text lists. So if you can create a text list and share it at the shows, get people in on the texting line, you don't want to do it as frequently. Emails, you can send out things 2, 3, 4 times a week. As long as it's valuable content or things that are interesting to the person who is listening to it or reading it, then you can do it consistently. Texting, you don't want to be that consistent. Because then it can it's more bothersome, more in your face, it's more immediate. So it gives them more of a jerk reaction. But once again, you can put more direct links into it. So leading up to the show, you can do like one text leading up to the show, like a week, and then like you do like one the day before, and then one during the show. Like, hey, if you're not at the show, come here, show them this text, and we'll give you whatever.
Yeah.
You can put incentives in that.
Yep.
And it has a much higher open rate than emailing does. Most things we've talked about have been through either digitally or through other platforms.
Yep.
So analog still exists.
Yes,
you can still put up posters, put up business cards, do things on walls, hand out show posters. And nobody does it anymore, which makes it stand out even more when you do.
Yes.
Especially if you're playing a city. We live close to Ann Arbor. That's the example we're going to probably be using throughout most of the rest of the podcast.
Yep.
It exists like any other city. If there's a venue, there's also probably coffee shops. There's also probably bookshops. There's also probably, just any sort of place where people
music shops,
hang out. Music shops, parks, things like that. And a lot of these places are okay showcasing other things that are happening in the city.
Yep.
They want people to get involved. So you can walk in to a coffee shop and say, hey, I see you've got a board up there that's got upcoming events or whatnot. Do you mind if I put my show poster up there?
Yep.
And go, and a lot of times they'll say, yeah, because it's local. It's what's happening here in the city, and it keeps people engaged. Same with the bookshop, same with the music shop.
Yep.
Say, hey, can I put my poster up here? I know you don't like QR codes.
No, I do like QR codes
phones.
when it's I don't like them on phones. Yeah,
but you can put them on a posters that takes them directly to a site, and you can even make it more gimmicky. There's a creator named Ari Hershtan. He's got
awesome.
He's got a blog called Ari's Take. He's got a podcast called Ari's Take. He's got a book called How to Make It in the New Music Business. Really good resource. And he also has a band that does a lot of like soul, funk, 70s kind of style music, big band stuff. And he really dives into that. So what he did when he promoted it is he put show posters out with a phone number, a QR code that's dialed automatically, or a phone number, or saved it into your phone or whatever. And if you called them, there was a voice recording of like, welcome to the show of the century, very of the era. To hear a sample of our newest demo, click 1. To buy tickets, click 2. To get entered into this, whatever, click 3. And it's because there was no digital promotion back in the 70s. So he did a huge callback. If you've got a local artist friend or whatnot, you have that kind of specific vibe to it. Put on the poster, dive into specifically what it is. If you do like psychedelic music, go all the way into it.
Oh yeah.
If you probably know someone who does that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And put posters out there, put physical things out there. You can get a guerrilla marketing team of your fans. You can even say, hey, here's a PDF. If you're a fan, just print out a piece of paper and slap it up in your nearest local center, community, like your library or whatever. People can post notices.
Totally.
Or their local coffee shops, and people will do it.
Yes, they will.
And you can say, if you do, take a picture of where it is, post on social media, tag us to it. When you get to the show, we'll give you a shout out, or we'll do something, or we'll tag you back, or give you a free sticker, or however it ends up working out.
Yep.
So if there's a way you can incentivize it.
Absolutely.
Or we'll give you an extra vote to help pick our set list, or things like that.
Yep.
So physical ways of marketing still do work.
Yeah.
And you can shout it from the rooftops. Shout it from the mountains.
You can tell other people.
You can just do word of mouth.
Yeah.
If you have a big show coming up, like if you got a album release, you can hop around a couple open mics, play a couple songs, say, hey, we've got the show coming up this Saturday. It's going to be awesome. I've got tickets for it here. I've got posters for it here. I've got things for it here. Come talk to me afterwards.
Yeah.
Give them the call to action, give them the next step, and kind of help promote it that way. You can go on the ground. You can busk if there's a local festival going on or something. Just sit down in a corner, play your music, put out some flyers or some things on the floor, or put a QR code out there talking about, what's going on, just to get people involved. You can, get engaged. The word of mouth does work. And then
it's not a death trap.
It's not a death trap.
I'll tell you that right now.
So, because promotion is just, it exists all throughout life. You have to promote your stuff before, during, after. There's tons of different ways of doing it. And another way you can kind of promote is if the event has a sponsor. You can kind of tie yourself in with that, or go to some of their events. And a lot of times they're going to want you to promote beforehand if they do have a sponsor or whatnot.
Right.
Now, you have some direct relations with working with specific sponsors and things that they ask you to do.
Very important, yeah.
If you're a artist who is sponsored by a specific music maker, like you can be sponsored by a guitar or a tom head maker or whatever, like Evans or whatever,
and like an endorsement. If
you have an endorsement or whatnot, you can kind of tag that in or post pictures of you at your show that have that in and talk about that. But more so, like if this concert is sponsored by this bank,
right,
or whatever,
right,
you can do some research,
or this alcohol brand, because
a lot of, especially local municipality concerts or concert series, they have a lot of sponsors.
Yes, they do.
And it's important to kind of spread thanks for it and all that stuff, but you can kind of use it to your advantage, especially if they have an active social in the area, or they have like a local branch you can tie into and tag them to it, or comment on their post saying, I'm super excited for this show coming up, and kind of, use it to your advantage, because they've got, like with other bands, they got to reach as well.
Totally.
Things like that.
Yeah. I have a lot of experience with that in terms of like bigger, like named artists, I guess. Like I'm talking like the AAA guys, like
Bud Light with a logo.
Yeah, pretty much. So there's this one specific show I remember really well. And it was Breaking Benjamin played at the Old Shillelagh down in Detroit, and it was an acoustic set, so I remember it really well. And we were sponsored by Bud Light that day, and I remember having to make sure, like, we get a checklist of what Bud Light is looking for, and there's sort of a quota, but it's really just as much as you can get, right? Like there's like, you should at least have this many photos, whatever the case may be, but you should always be looking to promote that sponsor in some way, and like be like, hey, we're out here because of this person, or if you're specifically affiliated with them, that's why we were very hard on getting pictures of Bud Light, and we would have like a Bud Light bottle. Like I took a picture of a Bud Light bottle in front of the set, so like their silhouettes were like in the background, and the Bud Light bottle was facing forward. So it was like, this is why we're here, right? That was a really cool show. I actually got to take Breaking Benjamin up to the show, so I was like talking with Ben, I think that's the lead singer, the entire time up there. He was such a cool guy, and we were just like chilling. It was just like everyday like work for him, which it is, but like I was like, this is cool. I like Breaking Benjamin. So, but like that's like something that you might have to do though if you are up in that echelon of bands and you're listening to us, which thank you for listening. But that's something you might have to do. You might have to plaster this brand all over the place leading up to the show, and really make sure that you're specifically meeting their criteria of what they need in return, right? So because there's always a give and take. So because if you can get a good relationship with a venue, they're going to want you back. If you can get a good relationship with a sponsor, they're going to want to, like, they could recommend you or push for you at any event that they're sponsoring, because they're like, we like the way they sound, they're really awesome to work with, they promote our stuff. They actually take that extra step to, it's not just about them, it's about the sponsor, because their whole thing is they're putting money out there to put this event on, because they want to get a return on it. And if you can be a part of that, well, now you're a weapon in their pocket. So, now we're sponsoring this upcoming festival and there's an open ticket. We would love it if you could perform there. Or, we're sponsoring this radio show where we have bands come in live and talk about the what they do in the artwork, their art, and it's sponsored by this event. So you just got to say, hey, well, this is how I introduce, just thank the sponsor. Maybe they'll get you involved in that. If sponsors are supporting events and putting on events, being in their pocket as a potential way of getting their stuff out that they know you'll work for them, and not just be like, thanks for coming to the show. It's my show. It's all about me. Exactly. That's more of an asset. And like a venue might want you back. A sponsor will want to keep working with you. Yep. And that can open up a lot of opportunities, because if it's a big sponsor, like we were talking about, they have incredible means of extra connections out there, way beyond what you might even consider what they have. So it's really important. This could lead to possible sync licensing placements. You never know. Like lots of opportunities. You never know. So you definitely have to make sure you're on your P's and Q's for that one. I haven't heard that saying in a long time. I know, right? It's like, forget about it. SpaghettiOs. Having the letters in there. So, like that was like half of a food reference. Yeah, I tried my best. I appreciate it. Yeah, no problem. Appreciate you. You did okay. You did okay. All right. So kind of moving on from that. I think it's about time to move on from that. Oh, for sure. One thing I'm going to circle back to real quick, because I have it in
all caps in here. We've kind of breached on and sprinkled it in throughout everything else we've talked about today. But that is especially when you're starting out, the strength of collaborating with the other artists at the show.
Yeah.
Collaborate with the other artists at the show. Collaborate with the other artists at the show. Like, collaborate with them. Did I drive that through enough?
I think you got it.
Because I can't even think of a way to begin expressing the enormous asset it is of people coming together to put stuff out. It gives you more reach. It gives you more content ideas. It gives you ways to pull things from, like, if you forgot to take pictures of your set, you can ask them if they have pictures and kind of exchange resources to promote. You can share something that you created on multiple different platforms in front of multiple different artists. You can kind of, if you are making an event or whatnot, you can kind of split costs amongst it, so you're not so heavily burdened by how much it could cost to build all these assets or this merch or whatever. If you're doing specific things for the event, it's more powerful when you approach a venue, especially if the artist has a relationship with the venue, because now you're tied in with them, and you can ask them how they've been promoting the show, kind of tie in with that. And it's just so powerful. I just word vomited all these things.
It's
you
really
can
powerful.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it helps showcase more that it's more than just you, and the other bands will appreciate it and will want to work with you again, because now you're taking the initiative and doing some things to promote the show that they haven't, because everyone's busy. Everyone's got a lot of shit going on in their life. If I was a band and I'm sharing a ticket with somebody, and then 2 weeks beforehand, and I'm worried about how I'm going to promote it, I get an email from them saying, "Hey, we're making this band poster. Here's the template of it. I put a placeholder photo one for you. Send us your promo photo. We can put it in the poster. We're going to put it up in these locations around the city."
Yep.
Holy shit.
That's awesome.
I instantly love you.
Yes.
That saves me so much time. I don't got to make posters.
Yep.
I don't have to promote this, like put it in these venues, because you're telling me you're putting it up around the city. Take my photo.
Yeah.
Please. You're my best friend now. And those things, that emotion, that feeling lasts beyond it. You know, they're going to want to keep working with you. And especially if you are sharing a show with all other artists, you're going to want to tie yourself to them, especially if they are a similar sound as you are, because they're the fans that you want to gather on.
Exactly.
That was my rant.
I mean, that's great. Yeah. I don't have anything to add to that. I mean, that's perfect. That's that important. And like, I mean, especially if it's like, if at the very least, it's like, let's say that band asks you for a promo photo and you haven't done any promotion up to that point, and then you still don't do promotion after that, then they're going to look at you and be like, well, we don't want to play with these guys anymore because they didn't really do anything in the forefront, right? So then your name kind of gets a little tarnished out there too. So you kind of want to just make sure that you're being good with everybody, because it's a community-based thing and you don't want to be shunned from the community. It's terrible.
Rise together.
Rise together. Like, promote each other, like have fun with it, and support each other, because that's what it's really all about. So meet them halfway if that's the case, and hopefully they'll meet you halfway if you're the one doing that.
I think that kind of covers everything we've got down.
I think
for
so.
Today.
Yeah.
I just kind of scanned through our little bullet points.
Yeah.
And we've talked about all of it. We've put all the ingredients of today's episode in the pot.
I appreciate that.
And we've been letting it simmer and stew. So,
stew.
Yeah, just stew. So don't just sit in there in the dining room smelling all the good smells coming out of this kitchen.
Set the damn table.
Set the damn table.
Please.
We've plated it up. We're giving you the plate. So let it cool a little bit, because it's really hot. Don't burn your teeth.
Don't burn your tongue.
I said don't burn your teeth. Don't burn your tongue.
Or your teeth. I mean, sure.
But dig into it. Don't just take pictures of it on social media.
If you do burn your teeth and it hurts, you might want to go to the dentist.
Definitely want to go to the dentist.
So,
yeah. The teeth.
Just saying. Yeah.
But I'll dive in and add some salt, add your own spices, spruce it up, put it out in the world, ask for the recipe. We just gave it to you. Get it again, write it down.
I like it.
This whole thing's going in circles. But yeah, act on it. If you got any things you want to talk about in the future.
Yeah. If you have any cool ways to promote that you tend to go to, or if you have a go-to, or if we missed anything, we'd love to hear what we missed and how we can improve. And we'd love to hear what you think of this podcast so far.
Just message us at podcast@musicmakerscookbook.com and we will get to the email.
We will.
Unless it goes to spam.
That would be a bummer.
That would be a very big bummer. The biggest of bums.
I do check my spam.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So Brandon will find it.
I will find it.
And I will be none the wiser.
What did you say?
I will be none the wiser.
Oh, okay. There you go.
What do you think I said?
I don't know. I didn't know what you said.
You weren't paying attention to me?
I was like, what did he say?
What a valuable...
I heard wiser.
Man, we started off in a mood. We're ending off in a mood. We're falling apart.
Yeah, dude. This was interesting podcast. So I'm glad everybody. If you're still here, I'm glad you stuck along with us.
Yeah, thank you so much. What are you doing?
In rare form today.
Yeah.
Weird day. But it's not a weird day. Like everything was normal this morning. So I don't know.
Anyways, thank you for dining in with us. From our kitchen to yours. Time to get cooking.
Bon appetit.